This program is brought to you by the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. We provide the professional expertise, tools, and resources to help you succeed. To connect with a business coach, call 502 625 0123 or email sbdcinfo@uky.edu.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Toolkit Tuesday from the Louisville Small Business Development Center. I am Ann Chadle, a business coach in the center here, and I am joined by a few of the other folks on our team, as well as Katie Reed, who is our presenter today. Katie Reed is the owner of Easy Peasy, which is a local website design company. And Katie's been doing this for a while. She's done it for other companies. She's got some really great experience using this in another business that she started herself called Glowworm Play Cafe, which is a play cafe here in Louisville. So she's got a breadth and depth of experience, which I'm sure is going to be really helpful to all of you watching today. So Katie, if you want to come on and say hello, and we can jump in here. And then a quick note as well to anybody who's watching. So we've got a chat, and so just feel free to put any questions in the chat throughout the presentation, just kind of as they come to you, and then we'll kind of go through those at the end, and then you can have an Ask the Experts period of time at the end there. So yeah, so just put those questions in the chat, and then we'll be sending a survey at the end of the presentation here today. So if you wouldn't mind just to kind of be on the lookout for that. And then we'll also send kind of a replay of this presentation as well. So if you want to watch it again or send it to other folks who may be in the market for a new website. So yeah, we appreciate you all being here today. And Katie, I will let you take it from here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Reed. I'm the owner of Easy Peasy Creative, and like Ann mentioned, Glowworm Play Cafe. So today I just wanted to talk to you guys about kind of choosing the best website builder for your business. I know there's a lot of options out there and the information can be super overwhelming, especially if you don't really fancy yourself a tech savvy person. So I just want to talk about my favorite platforms. There's going to be one in particular that I definitely favor over others just because of all of the options that they offer. And then after we go through all of that info, you guys can feel free to ask me any questions that are specific to your business or the platform that you're using. And also I'm going to add a consultation to my website at the end. So if you do want to set up a call to talk further, we can do that at a later date. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so this is going to be the best website builder for your business. So our agenda today, I'll go over a quick introduction and kind of what brought me to start Easy Peasy, how you can evaluate your needs as a business, comparing different platforms, examples of some work and layouts you can use for a website, and then we'll get to the Q&A. So I have been in creative industries for over 10 years. I moved to Chicago in 2007. Started on the admin side of a video production company. I worked in events and video production for the 10 years that I lived there. And then, gosh, I feel like I'm stuck in a couple of years ago. I guess it's been like over 15 years now. So I've been in, I came back to Louisville, started working for a software company that also did website design and development. And then I've worked for a couple of agencies here in town as well. So currently I work full-time for an SEO marketing company that's completely remote. I do easy peasy kind of as a side job. And I also opened a play cafe in the Highlands in November. That is like a coffee shop and bakery and play lounge for parents and caregivers and their kids 6 and younger. So I've got my hands in a lot of different things. I know that I'm probably speaking to a group of people who that really resonates with. I know as small business owners, we tend to have a lot of ideas and a lot of things kind of moving at the same time, which is what brings me to discuss kind of like what the easiest platforms are for you to work with when you have so many balls in the air. So I have had a long, an interest, I would say, since high school. For reference, I'm 34. So in web design, graphic design, all things like HTML, CSS, and have always been on the kind of project management and account management side, and did website builds as like a side hustle kind of thing. So once the pandemic hit, I saw a huge need in our community for small business owners to have an online presence. I had a ton of friends and acquaintances that were just, they didn't have websites, or their websites were super out of date. They had no way to let their customers purchase their products or services online. And since no one was leaving their house, it was very, very important and pretty urgent that everyone kind of get their businesses online, and not everyone was prepared to do that. So I did start Easy Peasy as a way to help people in our community like get their digital presence up and running in order to survive, honestly, during the pandemic. So something that is unique about me is that I'm completely self-taught. So I've taught myself to build websites. I've taught myself CSS. I've taught myself basic HTML. I've taught myself design. I've taken a lot of online courses. But the good news is that because I'm self-taught, I know that you can do it too. I have walked so many people through this process, and it is definitely something that you are capable of. And you are capable of learning how to manage on your own when you have so much else going on. So it doesn't have to be hard. I know that sometimes it can feel very overwhelming and daunting. And kind of what I do as a business owner for my clients is make that process as easy as possible, hence the name Easy Peasy. I do want to make things as easy and seamless as possible for my clients because they don't have the time to honestly, to invest and to care about a lot of this stuff. So kind of just getting to the bottom line of who we are and why we do this, but I'm super focused on community. I'm majorly focused on that in the Play Cafe that I own. I'm very focused on that for what I do for Easy Peasy. And I can also work with like any budget pretty much, because I know that not everyone has like the extra money laying around to pay, you know, a bigger agency tens of thousands of dollars to build them a website that they honestly probably don't need. So with that said, I will get into part of the process. So the first thing that you want to do when you're building a website, if you're starting from scratch, or if you have a website that you've been managing for a long time that you're not really that happy with, or it needs to be updated, you want to evaluate your needs. So the first step would be to set your goals. On the next slide, I'll kind of get into more of what those goals look like. But so you want to set your goals. Step 2, you want to set your budget. So there are a lot of different options as far as different packages you can get with different website builders, and you want it to be cost effective and you want it to make sense for your business. I find that a lot of people are on website builders that they don't need to be on. They might be paying too much, or they've, you know, gone with a website builder that has like a big app marketplace and a lot of add-ons, but they don't need those add-ons for their business. So setting your budget and sticking to that and, you know, figuring that out is definitely very important. Step 3, just compare your options. And then step 4, build your website. So let's get into the goals. So these are some goals that you can set while you are building your website. So depending on your industry, you may have different needs. So if you, let's say you're a professional services business and you just are out there to provide information, maybe you don't need customers to be able to, schedule something on your website or purchase something from your website, but you just need them to be able to reach out or see your work. So you'll kind of decide what needs to be on your site, like what does the platform that you're working with need to be able to do? Are you wanting to showcase your portfolio, your services? Do you need a contact form? If you're a restaurant, do you want it to just show your menu? If you're an e-commerce shop, what's the volume of the products that you're selling? How many products do you have? Do you need to have online ordering or curbside pickup? For blogging capabilities, any SEO marketing agency will tell you that blogging is what gets you better ranked on Google, and they're right. So you will need to likely figure out something where if you want to kind of be an industry expert for what you're doing, having good blog capabilities. So you'll need to figure out if you're going to be frequently blogging or having a content writer, work and publish for you, if you can automatically schedule your own post, if image galleries are really important to you. I know that someone had emailed yesterday and wanted to better showcase their work as far as like really putting images up front of their work, because it just kind of speaks for itself. Good photography goes a long way. And then if you need to have like a blog that integrates with a website. So there are some platforms out there where the blog will be separate, it'll be hosted on a separate domain or something like that. So it's nice to have everything in one house so that you're not using a million different programs and a million different apps and having to keep track of all these logins and all this stuff. It's so nice to have everything under one roof. So the last thing that you might want to set as a goal for your website is scheduling capabilities. So the ability to set appointments yourself or have your customers set appointments. You might need memberships or subscriptions that occur maybe that reoccur every month or every year, or every 6 months or something like that. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. If your scheduling process can be automated, so it has email triggers, and then text messaging also for like appointment reminders, stuff like that is a really important integration to keep in mind for any kind of service-based business where your clients are going to be booking on your website. All right, oopsie, sorry about that. All right, so the three that I'm going to talk about today is Squarespace, specifically 7.1, Wix, and Shopify. So Squarespace 7.1 is by far my favorite. That is, I would say 99% of the clients that I work with, I build their sites or rebuild their sites on Squarespace. There are so many reasons for that, but a big one is affordability. Another one is all of their websites are automatically responsive on 7.1. It's got beautiful designs. It's easy to learn. You can make changes from your phone. It's just, I have found from the different types of businesses that I own and run that Squarespace just honestly has it all. I have handled a lot of clients that have been on Squarespace 7.0. And if you do have a Squarespace site, you can log into your account and you can see that kind of in the bottom left-hand corner, and it'll say what version you're on. 7.1 offers so many things that 7.0 does not offer. So if you are on 7.0 and you're having trouble with your site or you're feeling like it's not scaling with you, upgrading to the 7.1 platform will work wonders for your business. So I've kind of just rated Squarespace, Wix, and Shopify. Those are the three that I would recommend for most types of small businesses. And then I will get into some of the pros and cons for each platform. All right, here, 1 second. There we go. Okay, so for Squarespace 7.1, so some pros of using Squarespace 7.1. Their designs are beautiful and they're the most flexible. There are so many different widgets and blocks that you can fully customize your site. They have so many built-in integrations, from scheduling, from different types of menus, different types of imagery that you can add, like galleries, and they really just have the most flexible designs, in my opinion. So all websites on Squarespace 7.1 are responsive by nature. So that means when you build the website, you can be sure that it's scaling for mobile automatically. The percentage of users that visit your website from a mobile device is huge, to the point where Google has started prioritizing mobile usability for websites like above almost everything else. So this is like a newer algorithm update that was released at the tail end of last year. They're looking at your page speed. If text is large enough and readable on mobile, they're looking at a whole slew of things. So the better your website looks on mobile, the higher your website is going to rank on Google, which is great. So Squarespace really, really helps with that. And it doesn't, you don't have to kind of do more work. Getting a little bit ahead of myself, but something about Wix that I would warn people about is that some templates that you can choose in Wix are responsive on mobile. A lot of them are not. And so people will start to build their website. They won't hit that little button that shows you what it looks like on mobile. And they don't know that their website is not automatically optimized for mobile devices. That can get people in a lot of trouble. There's a couple cons of Wix that I'll get to in just a minute, but that's a huge pro for Squarespace. Another one for Squarespace is that they have an awesome integration for stock imagery. They use Unsplash for stock images. So if you don't have photography for your website yet, or maybe it's going to come later, but you need beautiful photography to sell your product and your business, they have awesome stock imagery options and really, really good typeface options. So they actually integrate with Adobe fonts. And so you have, just the options are limitless as far as what fonts you can choose for your site. So the way that they kind of build the initial template is it'll have a font package set for it, the color palette, things like that. But everything is customizable, and I love that. So another thing about Squarespace is that it is affordable. And if you ever add anything on, or say you upgrade, like let's say you upgrade from just like the business tier to the next tier up, and then you decide, oh, I don't really need that, or I thought I needed it and I'm not quite ready for it, you can cancel that and just go back down to another tier at any time, and they will refund you the cost, like the difference that you paid. So I love that. I had a client recently who her business is called the Party Pond. She's located in Tampa, and she does balloon garlands and marquee letter rentals. And she thought at first they wanted to just take a contact form and do all of their own bookings. Then they wanted to have their clients book the days that they needed them for their services. And then she decided that she wanted to have more control over it. So she wanted to take it off. So she had upgraded to the scheduling feature on Squarespace. And then, a week later decided she didn't want it anymore. So she was able to cancel that and get most of her money back from doing that. So she wasn't really out very much money for just trying it for a couple of days, which is nice. Another pro for Squarespace is that it's great for all types of businesses. So I've used it for retail, scheduling, restaurants, professional services, portfolios. Like I've literally built every single kind of website for every single type of businesses. I've done websites for finance companies. I've done bars and restaurants. I've done e-commerce. I've done hair salons and other types of services that require booking and scheduling. I've done just like portfolio sites for photographers or videographers. So Squarespace is so versatile and it's all in one. And that's just what I love about it the most, is that you don't have to go outside of the platform to have everything you want, really. Everything that you could need is just right there in that one platform. And it makes it so easy as a small business owner to manage that yourself. I tell a lot of my clients, my favorite thing about using the Squarespace app is that, you can update something on your website while you're walking, just from point A to point B. Maybe TMI, but like everyone is on their phone while they're using the bathroom. You can update your website while you're doing that. So it's like those are the moments as a small business owner where you need to be able to still get stuff done, and you can do that with Squarespace, which is amazing. The last pro that I'll talk about is the ability to scale and grow with your business. I started with my website for Glowworm Play Cafe on BigCommerce. Actually, I really liked it for just doing online retail. And at the time, they were one of the only commerce platforms that integrated with Facebook and Instagram shopping so that you could actually tag your products. Squarespace does that now. So that was a major improvement with 7.1. As soon as Squarespace started offering that, I switched. And I have grown from just a pop-up retail shop to a full-blown brick and mortar that offers online and in-person shopping, a full cafe, scheduling for booking appointments and parties, all of that online. So Squarespace has really been like such a blessing for me as a business owner in the way that it has been able to grow with my business. Some cons for Squarespace. You can't switch templates on 7.1, or I don't think you can on 7.0 either. If you switch the template, it's not a very good like one-to-one on 7.0 where it'll like switch all of your content over to a new template. So you can do that with a lot of builders. Squarespace doesn't really allow you to do that. So if you don't like the design of your website, you'd have to just redesign it. As far as 7.1 goes, the templates all use the same elements. So any template that you initially choose, you can do what's on that template to any other template. So there's not really switching templates in 7.1. Excuse me. As far as just another con is if you want to like more deeply customize the design of your website, maybe not a must-have knowledge of CSS, but definitely a nice to have, or at least being tech savvy enough to kind of Google your way through making customizations in their CSS editor. Squarespace used to have a development tools section of their website that allowed for a lot more customization. They got rid of that with the jump to 7.1, but you still can do a lot of CSS customizations, which is basically just styling your site. So like adding custom fonts and, kind of like moving around elements using CSS and HTML. That's something that is definitely harder to do in Squarespace 7.1 than it was in 7.0, and kind of requires like a working knowledge of that, or at least, feeling like you have the resources and are able to execute that. They do have a lot of really, really good information on their Squarespace forums. That there's a thing called Squarespace Circle members. I have that because I host like 30 Squarespace websites under my account. So it allows people who are certified Squarespace experts like myself to go in and answer questions for people who are kind of just doing it for the first time. So that's a really cool resource that they have is you can just post a question in their forum, and then Squarespace experts can just comment back, maybe ask you for the link to your site and troubleshoot for you, and that's free. The last thing is that SEO is good for Squarespace. It does have its limitations. It's not bad. So you still have the ability to, customize your page titles and your descriptions, but getting in there like really granularly and being able to, update some of like the meta tags and like stuff that's like really deep embedded into the website, you can't do on Squarespace. So if you have a working knowledge of SEO or you're hiring an SEO agency, you are going to run into that roadblock at that point. I haven't necessarily had a lot of trouble with that personally. I've heard from other people that it's a little bit of a pain point for them. I will say that I think that we have gone as far as we can go as far as SEO for Easy Peasy's website and for Glowworm's website. Glowworm's website ranks really well. I've had people discover me on Google for Easy Peasy as well. So, it's not like a make or break it kind of con, but it is just something to be aware of. All right, so the next one is Wix. Wix is probably going to show up when you Google best website builder for my business. I am convinced that Wix is paying every blogger to put them as number one. Wix is fine. If a client comes to me with a Wix site and wants me to make changes to their Wix site, I will do it. I can do it. I understand why people like Wix. Obviously, I'm like a Squarespace super fan. So working on Wix is totally different than working on Squarespace. And it's not my preference, but I do think it is a good option for an entry level site. So they have a lot of templates to choose from, which is a huge pro. They have like a ton, like you can search by industry, all the layouts are different. I guess kind of a con to that is like someone might have a website that looks super, super, super similar to yours because it's just kind of like a plug and chug template. Another pro is that they have great customer support. So Squarespace's customer support, it's okay. They have email and then the forums, they don't have a phone. So you can't really like call if you have something urgent to deal with. So with Wix, you can do customer support via email and phone, which is really, really great, especially for like entry-level users who don't really know what's going on with their site. So Wix also gives you access to all the features that you would need for your business. Similar to Squarespace, they have a booking app, they have e-commerce. You can do a professional services site on there and it will look nice. So it's a close runner-up for me, but when you're kind of comparing costs, I always just think like, why go with Wix when you could go with Squarespace? So if you do already have a Wix site, there are a million, wonderful things that you can do with it. The cons are what worry me for small business owners. If you do not have a website yet and you're looking at Wix, there's a lot of room to mess things up and for error as a newbie website builder. So they have this thing that is an AI builder, which sounds great. But basically you can go and type in your industry and you feel like you're customizing it along the way. The websites that Wix kind of spits out from the information that they collect from you during this process is, as a marketer and as a website designer, it's extremely worrisome to me that people might just look at that and think like, oh, that worked and that's fine. I would, at the very least, what I would recommend if you're going to use one of their templates or their AI website builder is that you give the website to an industry expert to look over, and just go over with a fine-tooth comb before you actually launch that website. I think it's a great tool in theory. I think the execution of it has been relatively poor, and I just think dangerous sounds dramatic, but I do think it's dangerous for small business owners to think that they can just generate a website so quickly and so easily, in just the click of a few buttons and over the course of a few minutes, and that website is going to do the work that the business owner needs it to do. The other thing that's a con about Wix, so the apps are kind of a false front. They have an app marketplace. A lot of them require further subscriptions with that specific business. They let you just kind of iframe in the data instead of it actually integrating with the data. And if you don't know what that means, a lot of softwares will give you a code. It'll be like, you'll have like 4 different options for codes to embed into your site. And so while Wix offers a lot of apps for you to integrate with a lot of them, what's actually happening is that you have to go to that separate website. You have to create an account. You still have to manage all of your data there. And then you have to copy paste like an iframe code, put it in as a code block on your Wix site, and it's pulling information from that website. So the potential for you to be having like a million different accounts for a million different apps that you're using is very high. To get everything that you might need from a Wix site, you might need to use those apps, and then you might need to be managing several different accounts. That's a big one for me as an inconvenience for a small business owner. It's just, I don't know. I feel like the less accounts that you have out there, the better. The less subscriptions that you have. And then you might forget that you're even using it, or it might not be updated. You may have forgotten to update the iframe, code on your website, and it's not pulling in the right information anymore. There's just so many steps that would be easy to forget about, and it's not quick and it's not easy. So the last two things, there are limitations with SEO, similar to Squarespace, but Squarespace ranked a little bit higher on that list for me as far as SEO. So you can still control a lot of it in Wix, but there are limitations. And then it's not great for long-term growth. It's a great entry-level product, but if you're planning to be in business for a long time, if you're planning for your business to grow, if you're planning to expand your services, I would not start with Wix. All right, the last one I'm going to talk about is Shopify. Most people have heard of Shopify. I have clients come to me all the time and say, hey, I want a Shopify site. And when I ask them why, they say, I don't know, that's just what I've heard of. Shopify has a great reputation. I actually have a client at the SEO marketing company I work for that is Shopify, but I work with, directly with a guy from there, and they are incredible people. They've got an incredible team. I love their support team. They have great support via email, phone, and chat. Like, they have built a great product with a great reputation for themselves. They are by far the best platform for high volume e-commerce. Don't quote me on this, but I believe that they recently got rid of their transaction fees if you meet a certain threshold of sales on a monthly basis. And they also they lowered that threshold as well. So they're doing really good things. They're a very ethical company. I really like that about them. They're great if you are selling a ton of different products, or if you are selling a few products at a very high volume. I'm talking like thousands, a month of a product, not like 100. They have a huge app marketplace, similar to Wix. They have a bunch of different apps that you can integrate. The integrations with Shopify are more seamless. You can manage a lot of them from your Shopify account, which is super helpful. And they just allow for a lot of customizations. It's easy to use. You don't have to be tech savvy right out the gate, but you can be, which is also pretty fun. So if you do have a developer on your staff, a web developer, Shopify allows you to customize your site, the look and feel, just a lot of different user paths, very, very granularly. So you can either go with kind of the template that they offer, or you can have a developer really dig in and really customize that for you. So Shopify is great for retail stores that, ideally have a website developer on staff or freelance that can really bulk up the site and make it exactly what you want to be. All themes built for Shopify in their theme and template marketplace are responsive. If they were built for Shopify, they are responsive. I do not recommend just Googling Shopify theme and purchasing it, because you don't really know what you're getting. I would definitely, if you are going to go with Shopify, purchase a theme through them, not just from a third-party website that isn't, verified and validated. So the only cons that I would really point out for Shopify, the best templates, the nicest looking ones, they're paid and they can be expensive. I've seen it happen a million times where someone signs up for a Shopify site, they pay $200, $300 for a really, really beautiful theme. And then they realize either they don't need to use something like Shopify, or they can't customize it in the way that they want, and then they're out all of that money. There's no returns for that. So you're not going to get a prorated, discount or return if you don't like your template. So it can really end up costing you a lot of money. And same thing, base pricing, fees and add-ons for Shopify can also start to get expensive. It's definitely for, you can use it as a small business. It's going to be for high volume retail sales, to where those expenses are not going to be such a concern for you. So these are a little hard to see, and I apologize for that. And I can also, if anyone wants to reach out after this, I can send you some of these images or links to these websites to look at in more detail. But these are just all 4 of these website pages that are screenshot here are built on Squarespace 7.1. So I just kind of want to show you guys what you can do with Squarespace. The layouts are, endless. So you can see on this first one, this is for my website for the Play Cafe. We've got our call to action up here in the hero image section. We've got a gallery of photos. We've got a testimonial scroller. These are our services down here with links in each of these cards. A couple more cards with calls to action. We've got an event calendar down here. There's an Instagram integration. So anything we post on our Instagram account automatically gets populated to this scroller right here. This website right here is the second one. This is more of a services business. So it's called the Hygge Gathering. She does like small events, event design and gatherings. She has offerings that people can book on her website. Obviously her imagery is really wonderful and really pulls a lot of weight for her site. This is an e-commerce shop called High Horse Art Studio that's based in Virginia. So yeah, I mean, you can see like there's a lot of like top level categories over here with retail, a lot of different ways to organize your retail. There's a million different layouts. You can change the shape of the photos. You can change the font sizes and colors and all that kind of stuff. And you can do a lot with e-commerce on Squarespace as well. And then the last one is another booking site. It's called Guided Place. She's located in Southern Indiana. And these little widgets here, each of these learn more links right here actually pop up into a light box. So you can read more information and then you can book from there, or you can click on these buttons here and that takes you to her booking page. So all 4 of these websites look so different and they're all built on the same platform. I often get the question of like certain sites that I've built on Squarespace, if they were built on WordPress or another more advanced builder, because of the customizations that you are able to do on Squarespace. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for questions. I'll stop sharing my screen and yeah. Go ahead, Anne.
Thank you, Katie. That was amazing. Super informative, super thorough. We've got a bunch of questions in the chat. I'm gonna be selfish and ask you a few of my own before we get into that, because I can do that. Something that I've seen with a fair amount of clients that I've worked with as we kind of navigate through some of these different sites, and I don't know if you have the answer for this, but knowing how each of those different sites have e-commerce added in, how they treat sales tax. And even if because sales tax is a really difficult thing in an e-commerce space, because you have to pay it based on where the buyer is located. And so when some of the sites will remit sales tax on behalf of the person, of the business owner, and even just getting that sort of yes or no information, we do this or we don't do this, that I've seen folks have a hard time navigating. So do you have any information specifically about that sales tax piece, or even just where to look to get the correct answer?
For sure. So I can really only speak to that on Squarespace. They have an integration with TaxJar, which is really, really great. You can turn it on. I can actually share my screen again and just kind of show you what it looks like. Okay, so yeah, under the Commerce tab, there's a taxes section. And then you can just turn on automatic setup. our rates are not turned on automatically because we have a bunch of crazy custom stuff that we have to charge people for that our CPA just told us about. So she's like, no, you do have to charge tax for birthday party rentals. And I was like, oh, cool.
Or yeah, for services versus
So
product.
yeah, so that you can do it manually, and you can also do automatic rates, which is great. So you know, if you want to add like a manual rate, you can set the country, you can set a different tax rate for every state, and yeah. So I would assume that, I mean, Shopify would definitely have something like that. I don't know if their integration is the same. I'm not sure about Wix.
Okay.
But yeah, I also don't love to give any kind of information relating to taxes or accounting, and refuse to set it up for my clients because I'm like, I'm not an accountant.
No, it's such a tricky thing because I mean, I know CPAs who are like, I won't touch sales tax because it's so complicated in specific.
Yeah.
So I think as people are, if they're in the sort of decision-making process of who to go with, that
For
definitely
sure.
needs to be something, if they're in the e-commerce space, that needs to be something that they're
Definitely.
about.
And I would even, I mean, like at the very least, you know, consult a CPA, ask them, you know, what you need to be collecting, because the rules are different everywhere. So it's like some states, well, I don't know. It's so complicated. It's such a complicated question because it's like when you buy something on Amazon, it calculates the sales tax based on where your shipping address is. So, you know, these website builders can do that, but it's also not, I don't think it's required all the time. So it's like, it's really tricky, and it's definitely state specific. And so, yeah, my overarching advice would be like to consult someone who is comfortable giving you an answer on that. And I would say that the 3 website builders that I recommended today, I know 2 of them do, and Wix should. So they all should give you that capability.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. I'll throw out the Department of Revenue as another resource to call and reach out, particularly in the space of, I have some services, are these services that need to collect sales tax? Because that's another place that I've known folks to call and get some pretty good information. So, okay, I have lots more questions written down, but we have lots from the chat, so I won't be too selfish. So we've got Melina here. Hi, Melina. She says she's in Louisville and just started the law office of Melina, and I've practiced with your last name several times, Melina, but I'm not going to butcher it on camera here. So she says she's been trying to set up her own website, but she needs help. So I will put that out there for you, Katie. I hope this has been helpful for you today, Melina, just to give you some direction. Then Sherry Williams asks if these websites do hosting as well.
Yes. Squarespace and Wix for sure. I'm not sure what that looks like with Shopify. You can purchase a domain through Squarespace and Wix and have it all hosted in one place. Something that I love about Squarespace is that you can purchase your domain on Squarespace, have it all managed there, and you can also set up a Google Workspace. It gives you a free year of Google for Business. So you get a free email with your domain for a year. And it lets you manage like all of your preferences and stuff for your Google Workspace within Squarespace. So I use that for both of my businesses that I host on there. And it's like, it just makes it so seamless. And to not have a domain that you're having to worry about, like it very, very easily integrates with other, you know, domain hosts that you might buy your domain from, like GoDaddy or something like that. But it is very, very easy to purchase a domain through there. So you don't have to worry about updating things like your DNS records and like really getting into some of the more technical stuff. It lets you, like Squarespace lets you do, and so does Wix.
Okay. All right. That's great information. Valerie Henderson. Hi, Valerie. She says, as a visual artist, Wix has a better capacity for more large files, but I feel your cons about this particular platform. So I think that's a good point, depending on what industry you're in, you know, that it may be that some of the cons are worth dealing with because the pros are specific to your particular industry.
Right.
So, I mean, when you meet with new clients, like what is your sort of intake process as you're kind of trying to figure out like which site is going to make the most sense for them?
Definitely. Yeah, my process is basically I have someone that customers come to my website or reach out to me in some way. I have them fill out an intake form on the website and then just schedule a discovery call, which usually lasts like 30 to 60 minutes, where I'm just talking to them about like everything they need. I use Google Forms like it's my job. And I have so many super, super helpful forms that really get to the bottom. Like of exactly what the client needs before I recommend a platform, before I even give them an estimate. Just to say, like, it pulls out a lot of answers that one, they don't even know that they have the answer to. And then they're like, oh, I do know that, and I do want that, or I don't want that. And so that's super, super helpful to like really get granular before we get started on a project. And then I'll just basically do an analysis of those answers and decide what I want to do or make a recommendation. If they already come to me with a certain site and are open to moving, I might move them to a different platform. If they just want to stay where they are because they've been there and it's easier, I can work on that too.
Okay, so it is possible to switch if you say you were on Wix and you wanted to go to Squarespace. Can you switch?
You can. Wix, as last time I checked, they don't allow you to export your website, and it wouldn't be like a one-to-one import export. So it would be like a pretty manual process to rebuild your website. I find very often that a website migration can be super, super helpful for cleaning up like old pages that you don't even use on your site though. So it's like you're really moving over everything that you need and you want, and it helps you kind of have a clean slate when you can't do that like one-to-one import export. So, but again, it does like depend on your business. It depends on, like how much information you have on your website. And sometimes it's just easier to stay where you are.
Okay, that's helpful. I've got a question from Jeffrey Joel, which I think this is a good one. So he says, you mentioned SEO as a con on both Wix and Squarespace. Which is better for SEO? He in particular is a service-based business, and so SEO is critical. So I guess of those three, or is there another site or another sort of aspect, whether it's blogging, or something with to really focus on getting good SEO?
Definitely. I think Squarespace is better. I think you have you have more control over SEO on Squarespace than you do on Wix. There's a million things that you can do to help boost your site in Google rankings and to be more favorable in Google's eyes. That is writing good meta descriptions for each page on your site. That's updating your page titles to like very specifically target certain keywords. Blogging, has to be very intentional. You have to target certain keywords to do that in order to rank well. SEO is such a oh God, it's like black magic. And this comes from someone who works a full-time in SEO marketing. So there's so many rules, and Google gets smarter every single day. And so you can't keyword stuff anymore. There's no like meta keywords. So you're not wanting to put like 25 different keywords in a meta description or a meta keyword section on a website so that you might rank for that. Like what Google wants from you now is to write very human sounding descriptions and human sounding blogs so that they can decide that you sound like a human. It's like the more robotic things are and the more technical things are, the harder it is to rank now, which is so crazy because we're being evaluated by a robot. So it is a wild situation. I'm like, Google is like, it blows my mind every day, mostly in a way where I'm just like, I don't know that it's good, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, so I would say to answer Jeffrey's question, it's that if you're really focused on getting good at SEO, you have to look beyond just the particular platform that you're using and dive into some of these strategies, and then to stay up to date with the trends. Cause I think that really is the thing, is like what made sense 3 years ago is not going to work to get you good SEO now.
Oh yeah. What worked 6 months ago might not work today, which is Fun.
Right.
Yeah. So, and if I do recommend, so um, I do not consider myself an SEO expert. So I work on the client side for an SEO marketing agency. I do work with very smart people who do this. We focus on SaaS companies, so software as a service. So if you do have a software as a service company and you're interested in me putting you in touch with the company that I work for full time, more than happy to do that. We are extremely thorough. We are extremely good at our jobs. I work with just like crazy experts in that space. So there's so much to it. So if it's something that you know is going to help your business, and because it's honestly like it's not for everybody. Like software as a service is huge and it's so competitive. And so like you have to be out there like building backlinks, blogging, making sure that you're targeting the right content keywords, the right like just keywords overall for your website, that the structure of your website is correct, that you're doing well in mobile, that your page speed is good, that, you know, like from a technical standpoint, that, you know, there aren't broken links, that there aren't 404s. Like there's so much that goes into a good website and like good SEO. So if you're at that stage in your business, like I would 100% reaching out to people who are specifically SEO experts, like not just website developers, you know, not someone who does it as like a side kind of thing or just like as an inclusive package or something, someone who really, really focuses on that because it's, you know, it is not like even across the board at all. I know, and I've worked with a lot of agencies that say, we do this, and you know, they would be no better than someone who's barely, it's like PPC ads. It's like there are people, I could go on about this all day. But yeah, no, I mean, even that, like, you can't just hire like a random person who says like, I do pay-per-click ads. Like, do you show me like your success rate? Show me, you know, like how you've helped your customers be cost effective and, you know, like generate leads. Like anyone can set up PPC ads in Google Ads. That does not mean they're an expert, and that does not mean they're going to be effective, and does not mean they're using the right keywords. So yeah, using like industry experts for kind of like each type of thing you need to run your business from a marketing perspective, to me, is smarter than using like an agency that like does it all.
Right. To get that specific. Yeah.
This comes from someone who's worked at agencies that do it all.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you know, we work with a lot of clients here at the Small Business Development Center who, you know, in this sort of space of trying to find what is that minimum viable product when somebody's getting started. Starting out with online sales is a lot less expensive to get going than to have a brick and mortar. You understand this, having gone through that exact process, right? So yes, it's cheaper on the front end, but the difficult thing is that your market then is the entire internet, right? So
yeah,
this is the balance. So, you know, I think having, and again, when you're in the startup space, you don't have a ton of money to pay a bunch of different agencies. So, you know, I think like trying to figure out what are your strengths and what can you learn in this space from the blogging perspective, where to stay up with some of these trends, to do what you can as much as you can, and then, you know, and then grow it to the point where you can potentially afford to get somebody to help and kind of
for
bump
sure.
to the next level.
And it's like, it really is a case by case evaluation, because it's like some businesses, you know, like for Glowworm, for example, I know we could probably get some business and traffic and stuff from blogging. It's not super important to me. What's really big for us is social, like all of our Instagram, Facebook posts, paying for sponsored ads on those platforms. Like social is huge for us because we are the type of business that people want to talk about and that people want to interact with, that we get tagged and then everyone talks about it and they post pictures and stuff like that. Like it's very visual. And so it's like that we know that is like a huge marketing stream for us, but that blogging might not be. And so, and then like LinkedIn might not be, you know what I mean? So it's like, you really have to be able to evaluate, or at least talk to someone who can help you evaluate where to invest your time and money, because everything is not for everyone.
Yeah. I know. I think that's very valid. All right, we've got another question from Sherry Williams, who says, I have a website, but need help determining if I need to move to something less expensive or stay where I am because they actually manage it for me when I need changes. I can go in as an admin and make some entries. I would like to have a consult with the presenter. So Katie, I will put this in a second, but we need to get your email and your website out to everybody so that anybody who would like to have a one-on-one connection with you can have your information.
Awesome.
And
do you want me to just post my website in the chat?
yeah, that's great.
Okay,
Yep.
I can do that. And then there's a contact page on the website too, where you can just fill out a contact form.
Awesome.
And then you can schedule a call in my calendar. If you want to just send a contact form first, that's fine. And I can reach out and we can chat and figure out like what kind of call, you need. But yeah, that's the easiest
Awesome.
way to get a hold of me for sure.
Great. And I don't hosts and panelists. I think everybody can see that. No, that's only.
Oh.
Hold on.
Oh wait, there we go,
Okay,
Janet.
there we go.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Janet. She's on it. Okay, then Melina has a couple other questions. She says, how do you navigate domain hosting, SSL, and such along with the website builder? Does Squarespace do all of that?
Yes, they do. Yep,
Okay.
it's all in one. You can get your domain there. You can manage your domain there. Your SSL certificate is there. You can't launch without it. So like they make sure that your site is like viewed in the best way possible and that it's secure and everything.
And then does Wix have all of that as well?
I believe so.
Okay. And then what about Shopify?
Yes.
Okay. And then Melina also has a good question. I don't know where to start with setting a budget for a website. So do you have kind of a range that like, I mean, I know there's obviously there's an enormous range if you're going with, like some version of stuff that you're putting in yourself as the owner versus like paying for the whole thing to get built. But, like, give us some kind of expectation of budget.
It's kind of, it's tricky. The way that I would start maybe before you set a budget is actually like comparing the costs of each platform, because you can look at like the middle to highest tier of a business subscription for a website service, and then look at all of the benefits that you might need for it and say, okay, as someone who needs e-commerce and scheduling, it's going to cost me more than someone who just needs a portfolio site. So I would look at, one of the higher tiered, Squarespace options, and then maybe go to like, just type like Google Wix pricing, and it'll show you a table of everything that's offered and kind of just like compare what features you're getting from each. And then just honestly, like decide what you can afford. So budgets are always tricky. I feel like it's tricky for every single industry. Like I'm sure people come to you at my end, you're like, what's your budget for your catering, your dinner or whatever? And they're like, I don't know. And you're like, cool. So it's one of those things where like, I'll have people come to me and be like, my budget's like $200 for a website. And I'm like, well, like that's, you probably need a higher budget than that, but like, I can tell you, what you'll get for this much money or this much money or this much money. So, it's one of the hardest things just to figure out as a small business is like, you don't have a budget for anything because you need a budget for everything. What's a budget?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So I would say to folks, if it's a question too, are you talking to like a one person shop, like easy peasy, right, or are you talking to, a much larger agency that's got, I think those are the kinds of questions to ask is like, if you get a recommendation for somebody to say, how many people do they have on staff? Are they paying for a building? Do they have fixed overhead?
For sure.
Because
it really depends on like, if you're like a solopreneur versus a small business who employs several people or, a lot of people, which is why, Shopify, I think is so great for large scale e-commerce, because it really is built for people who have bigger budgets. And where that fixed cost every month is not going to matter as much to their bottom line as it might for someone who's just one person making a product, shipping it out themselves,
Mhm.
managing their site, doing everything, like
Mhm.
that's going to be a bigger hit for that person than the person who has a team of 15 or 50, so
And has a ton of revenue coming in. Yeah.
sure.
I mean, I think there's also something to be said for just sort of like the slow growth of things.
Yeah.
So starting with something that is, again, your sort of minimal viable product in the website space, and just making sure that you're not building on a platform that precludes you from taking some of it that you do want to take and moving it somewhere else. Or,
Yeah.
like you've noted with some of these sites, is something that you can grow with or something that maybe you can't grow with. So,
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah,
of,
I'm building a website for a florist right now who she's never had a website before. And we're pretty much just building it right now to like showcase her portfolio and get her information out there and kind of have a contact form for people to reach out to her. And it's like eventually she wants to be able to do more, but she needs it to scale. But like we chose Squarespace 7.1 because for her future goals, it's going to be very scalable for her business. But right now she is just one person and
right.
she's running everything by herself. And so it's like more starting out informational just to have an online presence versus someone who's like in the middle of running their business or further into their business venture.
Yeah. We have another comment here from Dolores, who's got a new business and needs direction building a new website. So yeah, Dolores, I would say hang on to that easy peasy website. And if you wanna connect with Katie afterwards. Yeah, we're at the top of the hour here, but I think this has been super helpful. Lots of good conversation here. So I hope this has been really valuable information for folks just to kind of understand what are some of the questions to ask as you're in the process of building a website, and then what are the different ways that you can help to grow kind of within your own space. But then when is it time to call somebody else, and then who to call and how big to call them. So yeah, we're getting some other folks, Katie, that are saying thank you and appreciating everything. It's been really informative. So
Yay.
we'll have a replay that will go out later on today. And then yes, and we'll send the evaluation. Thank you, Janet. She's
should have said and like less probably.
No, this has been great. Yeah, super appreciate your time and your expertise here, Katie. And yes, we hope you all enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.